Hello, everybody. Welcome to Truth Proof. And hello, Les. How are you doing?
I'm not doing so bad, Paul. And it's the summer's picking up here in the UK, so we're going out and about, so doing more stuff. So great.
Absolutely. And building in chat already. So thanks for the support, guys. Got a great guest for first hour this week, Dan Harary. We call him a regular to Truth Proof. I think he's been on at least two times, which is great. And he always has interesting things to share with us. And I'll kind of do a little bit of introduction to Dan while I'm here now. So he's I don't know, he's a founder or co-founder of the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance. He will correct me on that if I'm wrong, but along with Steve Bassett, they're doing some great work there. Also, the author of two books, My Paranormal Life and After They Came. And I think After They Came has just been brought out on audiobook. So no doubt he'll tell us about that. And he's got an interesting sighting to share with us as well. But before we jump to Dan, I think you've been busy. You've been buying cameras, haven't you?
Yeah, we'll be looking at a smaller camera to our army of cameras. So yeah, it's so that more run and gun type thing. Yeah,
all that helps with work that we're doing, and we will get through this next documentary, guys. Promise you. But everything good. I've been out and about. I've been all over the place, and as well as spending time up on cliff tops and regular kind of team that's up there with us. It's always good. But look forward to it now. It's almost not just looking for kind of shades of the unexplained. It becomes almost a social event because you've got good friends who you kind of meet up there with. But let's just have a look at this chat because we've well over 100 people in chat now. So we've got Mike, the Disabled Welshman, Dragonborn, Karen Behrman, Mag Sue, Liam, Drew Hollings, Linny's in, Martin Abbas, Deb Shaw. I think Dragonborn's there. Paul, what's this? You're telling me about that chair. I haven't oiled it yet. So I'm going to get told again. Nuki Brown, Auntie Mo, Mia Girl will be in. Let's have a look. Ian Slater, Sober Carper, DMC Moon, Susan Wiseman. So I'm going to have to just dry up with this. Alienate UK. I think that's Andy from Codes. So good to see you, mate. And one I can't even pronounce. Porzo, I'll just say the same name, and Doc Sausage, and we'll end on Doc Sausage. So let's bring in our guest.
Thanks to Lee and Alison for doing the moderating tonight. And without further ado, we'll bring Dan onto the stage.
Hello, Dan.
Hello, guys. How are you?
We're good, thank you. I'm better for seeing you, my friend. And have you been busy since you were last on?
You know what? It's amazing how UFOs have changed my life, you guys. My life revolves around UFOs, my dog, and my daughter. In that order. In that
order. I don't let your daughter hear you or your dog.
Yeah, hopefully she won't see this podcast.
Yeah, but no. So you've been very well. Let's start with that because I think you've been doing. Tell us about the WOW. Obviously, we're going to talk about your books, and I did a little bit. I don't know if you heard it before you came on. Just talking about the work that you've done and the work that you're doing, but you've been working in or involved in something called the WOW signal. What is that?
All right. Well, thank you very much for having me back on, you guys. And I always look forward to talking to you. So I've been a Hollywood publicist for over 40 years. Okay. 2 years ago, I became very deeply enmeshed in ufology. Because my book, After They Came out 2 years ago in print. It's now on audiobook, like you said. It just came out the other day on audiobook. And that's 2 years ago is when I met Stephen Bassett. He and I became very good friends, and we created the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance together. We created it, Paul, 2 years ago, but we launched it in fall 2023. So it's only a year and a half old. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But when I became enmeshed in this field 2 years ago, I was like, there's that I'm aware of, and maybe you are, there's no single news site that really is the go-to news site for ufologists on a global scale, on a news site that compiles information from researchers, experiencers, authors, filmmakers, TV producers, event producers, scientists, right? Educators. There's no real, there's the Debrief, there's the New York Times, there's, various websites and podcast websites. but there's no real New York Times for ufologists. Like, let's think of it that way.
Okay.
So I was thinking somebody should create that, Paul, and that's 2 years ago in my head. Somebody should create that. Well, for 2 years I've had that in my head, right? So in the fall, I enlisted my daughter. Now, my daughter is a brilliant graphic designer, and I said, I want to launch something, and I want to call it the Wow Signal. Now, for people who might not know, probably your audience all knows what the Wow Signal is, but for people who might not know, I think it was 1977, if I'm not mistaken.
From space.
There was a 72-second anomaly signal that was sent to Ohio State University's I think it's called the Big Ear radio telescope. And it was 72 seconds of very interesting and different static. It was a signal. That was the Wow Signal. In fact, on my website, I have the history of the Wow Signal. So I always thought, boy, wouldn't that be a great name for a website and for a newsletter? The Wow Signal News. So a month ago, I launched the wowsignal.news. And everyone who's watching right now, please go there. The wowsignal.news. I am the editor publisher. It's threefold. It's a news gathering website for people who are newsmakers. For example, I'm the publicist for Contact in the Desert, and all the press releases for the upcoming Contact in the Desert so far for this year are on the Wow Signal news service. I have news from the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance, obviously, and myself and Steve Bassett, our news. Various Ron James from MUFON, the filmmaker. It just got blessed, Paul. We just got blessed the other day by MUFON, which is huge. So MUFON has sanctioned and blessed my Wow Signal news service. So that means we're going to do cross promotions. So it's a news site. Also, once a week, we do a global newsletter email blast based on the previous week's news. So it's a news site, it's a newsletter source, and this is cool. We have various people every month, myself, Steve Bassett, Ron James, Tom Danheiser, who produces George Noory. Different people contribute guest columns on any topic they like once a month. In fact, Paul, if you or Les ever have a guest column that you'd like to submit, we would call it special guest column.
Thank you.
So it's a news site. It's the originator of weekly newsletters, and it's guest columns from very prominent people. And I'm incredibly proud of it. We have 700,000 subscribers in a month. Wow,
that's incredible. And so obviously, I'm not downplaying it. It sounds incredible, but it also, from the pitch, it also seems directed to filmmakers, prominent UFO researchers, and obviously, we in the chat now we're heading towards 200 listeners. How can they contribute to this? Are they just going to be spectators and readers of the information?
No, actually, no, not at all. And that's a great question. Thank you. In addition to Steve Bassett, Nick Pope, Richard Dolan, the top people in the world, and I've been reaching out to introduce them to it so that they use it. The beauty, Paul, is any one of your listeners or anyone in the world who is a quote unquote newsmaker, anyone at all who is a newsmaker, if you have an experience, a book, right? You don't have to be Stephen King, a famous author. No. Anyone at all, an experience, a book, a white paper. You're going to do a lecture, a new TV show. Paul, let's say this summer you're going to interview Eric Von Daniken. Let's just say something like that. You say, "Hey Dan, I'm going to interview Eric Von Daniken." We would do a press release about that. Now, to be honest, it is a paid service for people, for the general public. If you have news, there's a button, Paul, called "Post Your Press Release Here." Right? They send a press release. I read it. If it's legitimate news, and I say this jokingly, I once got an email from a lady that said, "Hi, my name is Debbie. I'm married to Bigfoot and I live in the forest." And I wrote, Debbie, best of luck to you. I don't think I can help you, but you know what I mean? Best of luck to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it has to be legitimate, vetted news. And I'm a pretty good, between me and Steve Bassett, we're pretty good source to vet something. But it's open to the public. There's different distribution packages. The minimum fee is just your press release will be on the website forever. And then higher fees, it can go to 20,000 people, 100,000 people, 700,000 people. So it's a paid service because I have to support my mother. So it's not free. It's not free. But I did it as a public service to the general public.
So, okay, brilliant. And thank you. I think you've given us all a bit of information where they can find out about that and what's involved and if they want to contribute.
Absolutely. So, I would love it. The wowsignal.news. In fact, it's Paul's the first .news that I ever heard of. My daughter found the URL.
Superb. So how about the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance? You know, you must think I'm beating you up on words here, Dan, but it all sounds out of the reach of Joe Public, the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance.
Okay.
So how is that progressing with the amazing Steve Bassett? We had Steve on a few weeks ago and he was brilliant.
Yeah, Steve's like he's become pretty much one of my absolute best friends. We really have become very, very close friends. The Hollywood Disclosure Alliance, the quick story is I met Stephen Bassett 2 years ago, exactly now, this time of year, 2023. We became friends. We had a very long lunch in Hollywood. At the end of that time, he said, Dan, what can we do together? I literally, Paul, I looked at the ceiling for 5 seconds. And then I looked at him and I said, we're going to create the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance. Now, I've had light bulb moments in my life, right? That was one of them. So today, now 2 years later, we have 205 members all over the world. In fact, if you were Paul, or if you were Les, I keep doing that. You know, every time I think of you and Les, I think of Les Paul, the guitar player, right?
All right, fine.
You know, yeah. I always flop at Les Paul. We have 205 members. They're all over the world. Now, we have movie stars and not famous directors, but we have many documentary directors. We have authors. We have Whitley Strieber is in there. Travis Walton's in there. Shirley MacLaine is in there.
I did actually look at that. There's a list of
major people.
Quite high-ranking people within the subjects. Yeah.
Right. Now, to answer your question, it's open. That's also open to anyone in the world with with some interest in this, some established interest in this field. You know, there's if you go to HollywoodDisclosureAlliance.org, there's a join, Paul, there's a join button. And in the join button, it says, would you like to be considered for membership, right? Please email, and then the email address with who you are, you know, what are your interests, what experiences have you had, what do you do really in the world? And our executive board will review the members. And then if you're approved, and honest to God, we probably approve 95% of everyone who writes in. You become a member. What happens if you're a member? You go up on the website, your bio and your photo go on the website. You are joined into our Slack channel. We have a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week live Slack channel. All our members talk to each other there. We have live events, but they're only in Los Angeles. In fact, we're doing one on Sunday this weekend, but it's only in Los Angeles because we don't have money to do them all over the world. We just launched the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube, this is just about 2 months old, and go to the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance. 5 of our members, myself plus 4 others, we have our podcasts there. Now, I'm open to putting anyone who's a member of HDA. If you have a podcast and you'd like to go into our channel, I would be more than, because I'm the producer of the channel, I'd be glad to put you into there as well. Why is this helpful? Let's say you're in France and you have a book that you've researched, you know, the history of UFOs over Paris. Okay, let's just say, right? and you do a book. It's a small run, maybe it's a small print run in your area, in your region. You'd like to get some national attention. If you became, well, there's two things really, and Wow Signal and HDA are related because it's both me. Wow Signal for a press release, but HDA, if you remember, right, you can go into our Slack channel, Paul. You could say, hi, my name is Paul. I'm from Paris. I just wrote this book, The History of UFOs Over Paris, right? I just wrote this book. Well, then 205 very influential people are going to go, really? Can I get a copy of your book? Let's talk. Maybe that would be good for a documentary film. Maybe I should interview you for my radio show or my podcast. So half of our members are UAP experiencers, researchers, and disclosure advocates, I call it. And then the other half are, and it's not just, Paul, it's not just Hollywood. We use the word Hollywood because it's a sexy word. The other half are writers, producers, directors, documentary filmmakers, and radio show hosts. We have podcast hosts. We have everybody. So it's two disparate groups historically. I call it chocolate and peanut butter that work together well. And there's a lot of cross-pollination. And a few documentaries have been currently being developed right now through the HDA.
So can I take it from this then, Dan? And I don't know, please, if you've got any questions for Dan, in capitals, please. And we've only got Dan for an hour, and we'll want some questions for me and Les afterwards. But what I'm saying is this solely UFO related, Dan? Are we venturing out into the world of cryptids, poltergeists, apports, other types of phenomena?
Okay, that's an excellent question. I'm glad you asked me that. For the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance, it's much more UAP, UFO, ET, extraterrestrial life, right? It could be interdimensional life. It could be our aliens from the future, which I love that one. I love our aliens from the future. I mean, that one blows my mind. But yeah, Paul, to answer you, it's really more on that side of the fence. On the Wow Signal, I purposely did that plus paranormal, consciousness, personal transformations, ghosts, cryptid, crop circles. So on the Wow Signal side of my efforts, that is a wider brush. Okay. Yeah. But listen, with Richard Dolan, when you have Richard Dolan and Whitley Strieber and Nick Pope and Bassett and Ron James and Ron Jackson, the HDA really is more focused on, is there extraterrestrial life, which of course we all know there is, and what's the latest going on with disclosure. That's more on that side of the fence.
And you might not have an answer for this, or might not want to give me your thoughts on this then. But me personally, we'll look at MUFON, and that's all UFO related.
Yes, right.
But and no specific case, but I do know that some cases have involved other types of phenomena that's on the peripheral of the main event, and it's kind of excluded in some instances from a report, and that's where I see the Hollywood Alliance. Like we kind of not gathering the information as we should be if there's other things involved. If we're omitting certain elements of the Wow Signal, sounds like it fits the criteria, but the Hollywood Alliance doesn't.
That's a good point. Let me answer you this way. The buzzword right now, as you all know, is psionics. At Contact in the Desert, there will be a live psionics demonstration and a psionics panel with Dr. Hennessy Powell, he's very, very famous from the telepathy tapes. So psionics has become a very big buzzword. On the board of directors for HDA, my friend Lisa Strickland is a psionics researcher. In fact, I just interviewed her this week for my podcast. So, Paul, you made an excellent observation. I'm going to, that's great, and it's a good suggestion. I'm going to reach out to my members and say, for those of you who are researching psionics and all, how can we expand more the HDA more into that direction? So thank you. You just gave me a great idea. Thanks.
Excellent. Well, thank you. And so for the people that don't know in the chat, and I think you'll be educating me as well, just give us a breakdown on psionics. How is it different then to meditation or just trying to connect with the unknown other?
Well, that's so funny you ask, because I just interviewed my friend Lisa Strickland. In fact, her name is Lisa Puzo Strickland. Her second cousin was Mario Puzo, who wrote The Godfather. Okay. She's one of my best friends. She lives in Nashville. She's a brilliant genius. She's on the board of directors for my HDA group. And I interviewed her and I said, Lisa, what is psionics? She said it's interactive mental telepathy. And this was shocking, Paul, what she said. It's interactive mental telepathy with electronics or mechanical devices or some kind of engineering equipment, because onyx apparently means like equipment or hardware almost in a sense. So it's a mental connection to psionics. Did you see the recent Jake Barber interview with Ross?
I didn't. I've got to admit, to be honest,
but you know about it.
No, I'll just do my own thing.
Oh, okay.
Just want to say that just before we carry on, because I can see my son-in-law in here, Luke Jennison. I'm amazed because I've never seen him in before. So, hi, Luke. So, good to see you, Luke. And there's Cassie Burton, Liam, Jan and Andrew, Odysseus, Dave, Magsu.
Oh, Luke is the name of my dog, by the way, Paul.
All right, so you're named after a dog, Luke.
He's a great, beautiful dog. Yeah, he's a beautiful dog.
So psionics then, do you think that's the way forward to connect with these external intelligences?
Well, two things. One is a few months ago, maybe 2 months ago, a guy named Jake Barber was interviewed by Ross Coulthard. And Jake Barber, I forget his background. He was in the military, maybe the Air Force forever. He now has his own company. His company retrieves crashed or disabled UFOs. Top secret, government
company. Are we talking about some branch of a government body?
No. He owns a company. It's almost like let's say you had a boat and it sank in a lake.
How would he know this, Dan? How would he?
Well, his connections are from I think they're from the CIA. I believe the CIA.
Right, yeah. So there's the connections from some department.
Yes.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, and he never said specifically because he can't. But he and his crew are commissioned every so often by the U.S. military / the CIA to recover a craft. He told Ross Coulthard, and it's fascinating. And this is, I think, last year. He and his team recovered a fairly large egg-shaped UFO that was on the ground. And it was on the ground. Now, he's in a helicopter with his team to survey the craft on the ground. And Paul, he said in the helicopter above this craft, he started getting intense feelings and emotions from the craft. And he said he started crying. Think about this. Now, this is a big, burly, strong guy, right? From the military. This guy's crying. He's crying in a helicopter because he said he felt some kind of very powerful female energy coming from the craft. And it was like, help me, I need your help, help me. And the guy's crying. He told Ross Coulthard that's psionics. Now, Paul, I think that's the first time I ever even heard the word, right? This is only maybe 2, maybe 3 months ago. And I'm like, wow, that's fascinating. Cut to I could give you a personal story. Last year, the last day of Contact in the Desert, last year, the very last night before the last day, there was a CE5 event on the ground. Now, Contact in the Desert, it's about 2,000-3,000 people. Beautiful resort near Palm Springs, California. So last year, the last night, we had about 200 people out on the lawn, holding hands. It was a CE5 event, holding hands for 2 hours in a circle, looking up at the sky for 2 hours. And there's a leader with a microphone in the center of the circle. And he's like, Space Brothers, we love you. We want to see you. Everyone here loves you. We have open hearts and open minds. Please show yourself. We want to meet you. Please land. Please give us a sign. And Paul, it was so cool, man. I mean, it really was. That was the only time I had done an official CE5. And I'm thinking, this is so great. This is so cool, right? For 2 hours. Now, after 2 hours, your neck really hurts. When you're looking up like this for 2 hours, your neck starts to hurt. So the guy said with the microphone, if anyone wants to lay on the grass and meditate now and invite our space brothers, please do so. So now 200 people are laying on the grass instead of standing. So I'm laying on the grass. I'm looking up. Now, this is a true story. I looked at my watch because it was late, and I had to be up at like 4 a.m. the next morning, right? So Paul, I said to myself and the sky, I said, if I don't see something in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to have to leave. I'm talking to the sky, really, right? And I'm looking at my watch. If I don't see something in 5 minutes, I'm going to leave. And I swear on my daughter, boom, right then, boom. A loud noise in the sky, boom, like that. A very dark gray cloud appeared directly above us in the sky. And I swear this is true because I saw this with my own eyes. Out of the cloud, a brilliant white V-shaped craft shot out of the cloud. It was bright white with it was a V, but it had rounded tips, not sharp tips.
Okay.
Rounded, and it came out of there, and for maybe 10, 15 seconds at the most, it flew over our heads. The bottom part, Paul, of this craft, each of the two wings, so a V has two wings, right? Each of the wings had 3 translucent, see-through light brown octopus pods lit up, and they were pulsing like this. Boom, boom, boom,
Do you mean when you say octopus pod? Do you mean like the suction?
Like suction pods, yes. And I swear to you, they were pulsing, Paul. They were like each of the pods. So there's 6, 3 and 3. And I saw this with my eyes, and I said to myself, whatever's on the bottom of that craft is alive. It was a living thing because these pulses were heartbeats. They were like boom, 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 boom. So it went by. I cried. I looked around. People, we're crying, hugging. We're, did you see what I just saw? So I don't take credit, but for me personally, I had a psionics moment. I was like, please, Space Brothers, I want to see you because I have to go to bed now. And it showed up. So that's my personal story.
That is so interesting, and the emotion then that it instilled in you, and that's not something new, is it? Only today, I think it was today or yesterday, I received an email from a lady, and I haven't got the details in front of me, but it's the emotion that you've struck on, and they were driving home, coming up a place. People familiar with our area where I live will know Garraby Hill, and they're coming up Garraby Hill, and they saw a huge sphere of light.
Wow.
That just appeared for a few seconds, and this ties in with what you said, and then just vanished, just gone. But
were they sort of, Paul? Were they
nothing? They weren't expecting it down.
Because we were reaching out for 2 hours. We were like sending vibes.
I get that, but they weren't expecting it. But where it sort of parallels your experience a little bit is that after it had disappeared, she said she felt very emotional and sad, as it had evoked something within her, which it's quite fascinating, really, because a lot of people, we've been we've been up on the cliffs a few times, and I'm not going to say anybody's names or anything, and things have happened, and people have said, I feel really emotional, really quite tearful because of something that's happened, or something that so it is stirring deep emotions in people. I don't know whether that's a mental thing or whether it's I don't know, something more sort of primal and animalistic. I don't know. And go on, Dan, have you got any views on that?
Yes. Well, a couple things. So the sighting I had a year ago, look, I didn't really cry. I was teary-eyed, right? But I was elated, Paul. I felt elated. Because I looked around and we're all looking at each other like, did you just see what I saw? Like, did we really just see that thing? So, and then, I walked with this guy back to the hotel, and we were like, wow, that was we're hugging. I felt elated. That's number one. Number two, Jake Barber, who I mentioned, who spoke to Ross Coulthard, he said he became profoundly sad in that helicopter with female energy. And again, this is a burly guy. So he absolutely got something from the craft. For me personally, when that sighting from last year, That might have just been because I saw this thing. But here's my other story. In 2008, and I told you this in the past, I went to the James Gilliland ESETI Ranch. 2008, I was at the ESETI Ranch for 3 days. The ESETI Ranch is a world-famous UFO hotspot. I was there for 3 days in July 2008. On the last night I was there, we waited for 3 days and nights. Nothing had happened. On the last night, we did a CE5, Paul, but it wasn't called CE5 in 2008. It was just maybe 150 people like looking up and like, gee, you know, I hope something happens. It wasn't a CE5. I don't think CE5 had yet been formalized in 2008. So we're out there. People are playing guitars. There's the fire and fire out on the field. This is at the base of Mount Adams. Mount Adams is one mountain down from Mount Rainier. Mount Rainier is where Kenneth Arnold saw his 9 UFOs in 1945. Anyway, so this last night I'm there. We're looking up, nothing. And this kind of happened again. I looked at my watch, and then I said to my girlfriend, you know, if we leave right now, we can beat all the cars. We can beat the traffic. And then this big black craft came from behind us, and it blocked out the sky, and underneath was a green bulb. And I've told you this story before. The green bulb turned on, and it bathed all of us in this beautiful emerald green light, like in Morse code. Now, I'm looking up, thinking to myself, okay, so this is the most amazing thing in the history of my life. And that time, Paul, that one made me cry, like tears streaming. And it blinked on and off over us. I'm going to say a minute and a half, which is a long time. And then the light went off and the craft went away and it vanished. Since then till now, and I swear in my heart, Paul, I feel like a better person, a more loving, more understanding person. My daughter even said, Dad, you know, you're even kinder and more gentle than you used to be. So that I didn't just get ideas. I got emotions from that one. So I strongly believe if you have a profound experience, something in you will very likely change. I would say I became enlightened at the 2008 thing.
So your life then, Dan, prior to becoming involved in the subject of UFOs and unexplained phenomena and having these experiences, would you have described yourself as quite ruthless in business? Do you think this has actually changed you? Because it sounds like it has. You're saying it really.
Not ruthless in business. My business as a Hollywood publicist, I have to be very friendly and outgoing and creative. I'm a writer. I set people up with interviews with the New York Times or CNN or People Magazine or TV or newspaper, radio. So I've never been a ruthless person. It's not in my nature. Nope. You know, I'm kind of like my dad. My dad was the nicest guy I've ever known. Everyone loved my father. I think I'm peaceful like him. But after that event, I just became more gentle, like more mellow, more gentle. Yeah. I'd say more gentle.
Yeah, that's good. And it's just slipped away. And I don't know whether Les wants to jump to any questions. I don't want to pull you in, Les, if you don't want to, but I just saw one slip away that related. And so I'll get on with it, Les, before you get to questions. I just said that these experiences, we'll do that in a minute then. Let's have a look at this question. That same tearful departure reaction happened to a young girl in Walden near Todmorden back in 1978. Oh, all right. Okay, then, Tino. Thank you. I don't know. I know the Todmorden, the area of Todmorden, Dan, is quite renowned for UFO activity and strange occurrences. So maybe, Tino, it's a pity you're not here on screen to fill us in a little bit more on that. But I did note that Linny commented, because I said some of the people that come with us up onto the cliff tops have had experiences where it's made them feel tearful, and there it is, tears of relief, but not good before. And I'm glad he said not good before, because I think we've got to concentrate on what's good and what's wholesome within the subject, Dan, but you can't have light without dark. And what about the darker aspects of the subject? So Linny's sort of question has just thrown that into me. Do you just avoid it?
I'm not an expert on this, but I am, and I'm sure you probably are too, I am friends with Nick Pope. Nick Pope is a friend of mine. 1 year ago, I was in the front row at his lecture here in LA at the Conscious Life Expo 2024. and he said, everyone's, and this is so funny, Paul, because my other really good friend is Stephen Bassett, right? So I'm Steve Bassett's like my best friend. Nick Pope and I are friends. We're friends from a distance. Nick Pope said, everyone wants disclosure, right? We all want disclosure. And everyone thinks it's going to be, and I'm paraphrasing, everyone thinks it's going to be unicorns and rainbows. And he said, people, and this is from Nick Pope's mouth. I'm in the front row. He said, people, I know for a fact that many races of extraterrestrials are demonic and evil. And be careful what you wish for with disclosure, because not everything that happens after disclosure is going to be unicorns and rainbows. Right? Now, there's Stephen Bassett. Disclosure is going to be great. Unicorns and rainbows. We're going to dance the hora in the street, break piñatas, we're make love in the street. I mean, he said, Steve Bassett, it's going to be the greatest thing ever. And Nick Pope, he's like, be careful what you wish for, because I know, he said this, I know for a fact that some of these races are demonic. When I saw that, Paul, I'm like, uh-oh.
No, I honestly, I would be on the same page. I really would. I mean, I don't want to turn everything into darkness, but we're jumping back to the line that Linny put in. There were three of us, and we just had a strange experience up there that it impacted him more than us, more than me and Peter. And but it was validated. His experience was validated because we saw something within 10 minutes of it happening. But he could see some strange red aura around us that really disturbed him and made him tearful. Not a guy that cries or gets tearful. Well, I dare say he does. We can all do that, but not in public as such. But that's the way it reduced him. But no, obviously it's great to have the positivity. Hollywood Disclosure Alliance, the wow. The wow, I'm going to say wow factor then. Apologies. The wow
that's so funny. That's so funny. My mother calls it the wow factor also.
Really? Yeah.
It's the wow signal. The wow signal.
But there really is a darker side to this subject. And
yes.
I think, and I don't mean, I won't and I couldn't steer you, Dan, but what I'm meaning is I think we'd be doing ourselves a disservice if we didn't acknowledge that, because even within what you're doing, because there's people who've suffered, there's people who've had bad experiences. I've wrote that book, The Night People, and they were bad experiences in childhood for me. So whilst I can appreciate the good and the things of light that are coming through this, I can also see the dark side. Just like next week, and I'll just get this one in, and then Les will go to questions. We're talking to Lorraine Wilkins, and this lady's got such a lot of knowledge, guys. If you're in chat, listen to next week as well. But right, Les, go on.
Yeah, fascinating, Dan. You know, when you was talking, contacting the desert last year where you had the experience and you was all laid on the grass and there was 200 people.
Yes.
And you saw this triangular V-shaped craft.
Yes.
Did everybody in that group see the same thing?
I spoke to 2 or 3 people afterwards and they said yes. We applauded. We applauded. And now here's the craziest thing. It came out of that smoke, right? And it went fairly quickly, but it went slow enough that you could see it. And I have pretty good vision with my glasses. I mean, it was crystal clear. I saw it like I'm looking at you guys. I saw this. This thing was there. This is not my imagination. Some people afterwards have said, Dan, was it a special effect? Like, were they hanging like a thing on wires? You guys, I saw that. I saw it. Yeah. And after 10, and I'm going to say 12 seconds at the most, it just simply vanished. Things don't just vanish. Well, this vanished.
Yeah. I mean, you could interpret from that what you've just said there, Dan, is that some people then couldn't believe their own eyes. If there was,
I couldn't. Unless I couldn't believe
on strings. Was it? Was it an effect?
Yeah, somebody asked me after the fact. Oh, it's Contact in the Desert, a Hollywood production. They suspended. No. I've been in Hollywood since 1980. Okay, no, that was not a Hollywood prop.
So it's a long shot question, this, Dan. But of the 200 people afterwards, did you ever come in contact with them and have a more in-depth discussion with any of them about this sighting?
It's such a great question, because the same thing in 2008, after it happened, both of you guys, I was elated. I said to whoever was to my right and left, wasn't that great? Yeah, wasn't that cool? In 2008, it was my girlfriend. And then that was it. I never had any connection with anyone afterwards for either event. So no, the answer would be no. but people applauded. Last after it vanished, people with like the 200 on the ground, we clapped. We're like, like in America for 4th of July when there's a really good fireworks show, people like, yeah, that was a good one. We clapped.
Has it been documented, Dan, so that people can see the kind of things that potentially could be evoked and experienced?
So that's a great question. My friend Michael Mazzola is a documentary filmmaker. He shot that CE5 event that night. I've asked him this question. He has never responded to me. But if I had to guess, I would say it's probably on film.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, then my first question. Then let's have a look. We'll get it from Lee
I'd love to see that film. Actually, I'm going to ask him again.
Hi, Dan. Great to see you back. This is from Lee Roscoe, one of our moderators tonight. What can you tell us about Spielberg's new movie? I know it's another UFO movie, Dan. I don't know if it's untitled, I think, as yet, is it?
Oh, boy. Oh, okay. I met Spielberg many years ago. Very sweet guy. I met him for about an hour. Very cool. That was one of the highlights of my Hollywood career, actually. I got a picture with him. Okay. Steven Spielberg's next movie comes out next year. It's called Disclosure, Les. It's called Disclosure. When Stephen Bassett found that out, Paul, he called me, Dan, Spielberg's next movie, guess what the title is? I go, Disclosure, Steve. He goes, yeah, it's Disclosure. Isn't that great? Spielberg, Disclosure. He is so happy. So it's called Disclosure. It takes place in New Jersey, where I'm from. It stars Emily Blunt. The storyline specifics have not been released. It's in production now as we speak. But if you are a member of any group like I am members of that has the word disclosure in it, we're all very, very excited. In fact, I'll add this, Paul, I will add this. A few months ago, I wrote to Spielberg's PR people. And I said, hi, my name is Dan Harary. I'm the head of the Hollywood Disclosure Lines. We would love to invite Stephen into our group as a VIP honorary member. We know his next movie is called Disclosure, okay? They wrote back to me. I have it. Dear Dan, thank you very much for the kind offer. Stephen, unfortunately has to decline. We wish you the best of luck with the Hollywood Disclosure. So Bassett says, well, Dan, at least Spielberg's heard of HDA now. So I know that Spielberg has heard of us now.
Do you think Spielberg has any inside information?
Yes.
The speculation was, follow on from the first film,
Close Encounters.
Then people were saying, well, what information has he been given to make this film?
A couple of things. Well, we all know I think most people know this, Dr. J. Allen Hynek was Steven Spielberg's UFO consultant on Close Encounters. He even has the cameo toward the end when he has the pipe. Yeah. Okay. So that's number one. But number two is I recently read an interview with Steven, and they asked him, have you ever seen any UFOs personally? He said, no, I would love to. But when Stephen was a little kid, his dad took him to see a meteor shower event. I think it was when they lived in New Jersey. And again, I'm from New Jersey. They went to a park. They laid out blankets at night and they watched. And Stephen said, all kinds of meteors or whatever, shooting stars, whatever was happening in the sky. And he said to himself, there's so much up there. So that's when he became fascinated with the sky. He has never revealed, Wendell Stevens or any military person or President Nixon told me. He's never revealed that. But I think most people in Hollywood and the ufology community believe somewhere along the way, because he's so incredibly genius and successful, someone gave him some information. Because Close Encounters is my all-time favorite movie. I've probably seen it 60 times. I cry at the end every single time. And people have said, I've interviewed all kinds of people. Everyone has said Close Encounters was profound. When I saw it, it was profound. It affected me deeply. So Stephen had an inside track. Maybe someday he'll let us know.
That'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? It really would.
Thanks for that, Dan. David Barker is asking, any reports or stories that's really got your interest, Dan? Is anything really
Nice
that's
question,
piqued
Dave.
you? Yeah, and
Well, I
tell us
guess
about it. Yeah.
I guess for that one, we could talk about the drone flap that happened in December over the east coast of the U.S. It's so funny, you guys. My mom lives in New Jersey still, right? My mom calls me, "What's with all these UFOs?" You know, are they? She said, "Are they going to come and abduct me?" Abduct me. I said, "Mom, you're 91 in a wheelchair. You know, I don't think they're going to take you, Mom. Probably, you're probably Mom. Don't worry about the aliens. You're probably going to be okay." According to Stephen Bassett again, the UFO flap over the East Coast, according to him, was there were many, many, many extraterrestrial craft, or, you know, there were these huge white orbs. This is what, think about this, you guys. Huge white orbs in the sky over New Jersey and parts of New York and Connecticut. Well, huge white orbs, that's not China or Russia, probably, or North Korea, probably North Korea. That's probably extraterrestrial. So Stephen Bassett called me and said, Dan, the U.S. military is sending up U.S. military man-made drones.
To confuse.
Right. Hundreds. So they're in the air, swirling and mixing with the extraterrestrial craft. Why? And the answer is, a magician wants you to look at this hand. Hey, everybody, I'm going to make a card disappear. The magician's doing the trick with his back hand behind his back. So, according to Bassett, and he told me that Danny Sheehan believed him as well. The military sent up military drones so people would look up and see military drones, right? And what's with the now all the coverage, drones. President Biden said, "Oh, they're drones. It's okay. Everything's cool. They're drones." Trump lady even said, "Yeah. They all had FAA clearance. They were drones." So I believe that was Bassett said it was the biggest UFO flap in decades in the United States, and it was deflection. And it was also right around the time when Trump was coming in. So perhaps they were trying to tell us, hey, we're going to work with Trump. I don't know. But to answer David Barker's question, that one really got my itch.
Deflection. Do you know, I kind of would agree with that. The only thing I wouldn't agree with, and it don't mean I'm right, is when you say extraterrestrials, because I don't think we know where they're coming from, Dan. And it's clear that they're already here. Do you know what? We know that when we look up there, it's got to be teeming with life, maybe like tadpoles probably out in space. But there's a lot of scope to suggest that these things are already here with the contact that people are having.
Well, more and more people that I know are referring to them as interdimensional beings.
Okay.
So and you know, there are different theories. Okay.
Yeah.
And someday,
I know
listen,
we're only playing with words. I think we're agreeing on just about everything.
I hope all three of us and my mother, I hope we all live to see the day when all of this is really revealed. But interdimensional for sure, extra dimensional. I have a good friend who literally is friends. This is true with Pleiadians. He sees them every 5 years since the age of 5. He's 60 now. He is friends with Pleiadians. Okay, so those are from another, let's call it another star system. So there's interdimensional, there's extra dimensional. I'm hearing more and more that some races are within the Earth itself. I think we all know there are underwater bases. There have been that's almost common knowledge. And I think my favorite one, you guys, is they're us from the future. I love that one.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll move on with another question. Thanks for that. Debbie Shaw, will Chris Bledsoe be involved with the Wow Signal project?
Chris Bledsoe is a member of the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance, number one. Number two, he is friends with Stephen Bassett. Number three, he and I emailed recently. Number four, I will meet him at Contact in the Desert in a month from, it's actually exactly a month from now. I will shake his hand. I will say, hi, Chris, it's an honor to meet you. And I'll ask him if Debbie, the Wow Signal is for new, I'll say this, it's for new news. If Chris Bledsoe is going to have a film come out, or if he writes a sequel to UFO of God, right? Or if he has some, because that book's been out for a few years. The wow signal is about new news. So I will absolutely say, Chris, anytime, man, you have news, you tell me, and it'll be the top story on the wow signal.
Can I just, before let's go to the next question, you say new news,
New
Dan,
news.
And this into trick question, but there's lots of accounts out there that have never been told that are absolutely sensational, and they'd be historic. So are we only interested in current?
That's a very excellent question. No. Okay, so again, I'm a publicist by trade. A publicist makes a living by promoting, and I don't know if I coined this term 40 years ago, but I always say new news. What's the new news? You have a new book. You have a new TV show. You're going to be at an event that hasn't happened yet. You're going to give a speech, right? You have something that has not yet happened. That's new news. But Paul, if someone had an experience in 1961 and they are just now coming out, I would love that. Do you understand?
Excellent.
I mean, I would jump up and down. I love that. I absolutely. I'll tell you this. I'm reading a book. A friend of mine told me. Jacques Vallée wrote a book called Trinity. Do you know this book, Trinity?
I know the book. I've never read it, but I know the book.
Okay, so Trinity, he wrote it with Paulo Harris, who I just met recently. It's about a crashed UFO with little aliens that happened 1 month after the Trinity test in June 1945. This is 2 months. This is the first atomic bomb test ever in history of the world, 2 months before the bombs in Japan. A little UFO crashed. 2 young American Indian boys saw the craft, saw the aliens, went into the craft. They never reported it until decades and decades later. So it's called Trinity. I'm reading that book now, and I'm thinking, because everyone, Roswell, we all think the modern era, and that's common knowledge. But there's so many events that happened before Roswell. This one was 1945.
Thank you.
Okay, and I know we touched on this. You talked about it at the top of the show, Dan. But answer more, where and how did this all start for you? I really respect your commitment to the truth on this.
That's an excellent question. I'll do this very, very quickly. In 1970, I was 13 years old. My dad picked me up from school one day and was driving me home from school in suburban New Jersey. It was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so it was daylight. My dad is driving me home in New Jersey. As we're driving home, a huge silver V craft hovered above my father's car. Silently, huge, okay? This is March 1970. I'm 13. I see through the windshield. I go, Dad, stop the car. There's a UFO. Stop the car. He stopped the car. We both got out. We looked up at this thing, you guys. It was like the eighth wonder of the world. Why would this thing be above my father's car? No sound, no propellers, no smoke, silent, not even a hum. Just it was there. Okay, my dad looked at it like he'd seen it 8 million times, and my dad was bored. I was jumping up and down. You guys, Dad, it's Star Trek. Dad, look, Dad, it's Star Trek. I couldn't believe it. Okay, we got back in the car. We drove home. This is a very long story. I'll do the short version.
It's okay.
I forgot, and I've told this story to you guys in the past. I forgot that event happened for 47 years. Cut to April 2017. Okay, now the event was March 1970. April 2017, my father died in Florida. I got the phone call. I went to a deli in LA to get a pastrami sandwich to the restaurant my dad and I used to go to, and to get a pastrami sandwich and to mourn my father. And this is, I swear to God, this is a true story. I sat there. As I'm waiting for my sandwich, a beam of light hit me in the head very hard and then projected through my eyes and my brain in the air like this was the 1970 UFO sighting 3D color holograph home movie with sound. It played in the air 47 years after it happened. And I've told you this story before. I'm watching it. I'm like, oh my God, my father just died. And then this thing played. Okay. So I saw it and I watched it. And then I remembered that had happened. And then I heard a voice in my ear, get a pen, get a pen. I wrote with my hand. My hand did automatic writing, and my hand wrote, write a book about benevolent aliens. Lead character's father knew about UFOs, ATC. And that's how my book came to me at the deli. It was 3 days after my father died. This book was given to me as a download. So, to answer Auntie Mo's question, I was just into Hollywood stuff my whole life. I was a member of MUFON for 20 years, just from a distance. I was interested in UFOs from a distance. And then when my father died and I got that movie and this book happened, it was given to me as a gift, it changed my life. So the last 2 years, this book, I wrote it in 2017.
Okay.
It got published in 2023. So the last 2 years, I met Stephen Bassett, and then my life has completely changed since then.
Thank you. Just before we do another question, Les, have we got a few more questions?
Yes, I've got a few more. Yeah.
Dan, are you happy to just run on for a few minutes?
I am no rush to go anywhere.
If Les is okay with that, we'll do that. Oh, I've got one more thing to add to that, Les, before you get to the question. V-shaped craft with your dad, 1970s or 70.
70.
E-SETI Ranch, I just put it down there. V-shaped craft. Is there a relationship here? Have you never thought that?
No. Oh wait, E-SETI Ranch was like this black, huge thing. That was not a V.
I thought you told us about seeing a V-shaped thing with
Contact in the Desert.
Contact in the apologies.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a great question. They were two Vs. Yes, I saw two different Vs. The one with my dad was hardware. It was shiny aluminum. I think I left this out. To everyone, and I apologize. After my father died, I found out who he was. My father reverse engineered UFOs for the U.S. Army. I have proof of this. Nobody, not even my mother, knew this. My dad had a top secret job for the U.S. Army for 45 years. So when he saw that craft with me, he knew what it was. He knew what it was because he looked at it like he was bored. Like he was looking at his watch like, I want lunch, I'm hungry. I mean, I had tears in my eyes jumping up and down. He knew what it was. So that was I think that was a man-made military UFO that was reverse engineered. I really do, because my mother said, your father used to go to White Sands all the time to test his inventions. I'm like, really, Mom? No, I never knew this, right? I learned more about my dad after he died than I knew when he was alive. So
did you never speak to him about any of this then, Dan?
I was into rock and roll. You see my drums behind me. I had long hair. I'm a rock and roller. My dad used to drive me to rock concerts. My dad and our bond really was music. He was a musician too, trombone. So my dad, I wish he was alive now for 5 minutes. I could tell him how much I loved him. And that, Dad, tell me about UFOs. I mean, I would go like this, Dad, tell me about UFOs. He never did, Paul. He couldn't. It was top secret. And he didn't want to jeopardize his pension. So to answer Auntie Mo, how it started for me was March 1970, and then again right after my father died in 2017.
Thank you.
Wow, that's a really profound story there.
It changed my life. Honest to God, it changed my life.
Yeah. Okay, this kind of follows on really, because Steve Collins is asking, Dan, do you think these craft could be living organisms rather than nuts and bolts craft?
Steve, the UFO I saw last year at Contact in the Desert was both. It was both. And I never had even heard of such a thing because, like I told you, these guys, the white V with rounded tips, not sharp tips, it was beautiful, thick white, like vanilla. It looked like vanilla. Oh, I left this out. It was like vanilla ice cream colored, but I forgot you guys. It had a gold ribbon of color through the white. It looked like vanilla ice cream with a caramel ribbon. So it was white, rounded with caramel, beautiful. It looked like a painting. It was beautiful. That was nuts and bolts. I mean, that was a piece of hardware. And then underneath, with these dopey suction cups, they were translucent, so you could see through them. They had like veins. They had like arteries and veins, and they were lit up and they were pulsing. That was not nuts and bolts. That was I swear I know in my heart, whatever that was, it was almost like an octopus hitched a ride on hitched a ride on a UFO. The top was hardware and the bottom was living. So Stephen, it was both. That one was both.
So apart from this intense emotional connection that you had, did you receive any kind of mental message as well?
The only message I ever got was from the ESETI. Oh, well, I don't think I didn't say that this time. In 2008, when I saw the ESETI with the green light, I got, not in my ear or brain, I got in my heart. I felt the following. Hello, we're here. Sorry we're late. We know you've been waiting for us. We love you. We love mankind. Everything's cool. Be kind to one another. Be kind to planet Earth. We have to go now. We just wanted to say hello. We'll see you again sometime. I got those messages in my heart. So that is the only time I got a message. And it wasn't oral in my ears or my brain. It was a feeling. But it was like words in my heart. I can't even explain it. It's never happened to me before or since.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
Okay,
anyone else?
Yeah, we've got this question. Wool Riders DG, I like the name. Wool Riders. Your thoughts on Harold Malgren, former president's advisor, saying he has held UFO material in his hands?
I don't know that name.
Well, Wool Riders. I'm not ashamed to say that I live in this bubble because I don't know about that, mate. But I'd love to be enlightened. If you want to enlighten us on it at some point. Well, he's probably going to make me have a look at this now on internet. I'll have to do.
You know what? Let me interject. I'm friends with Daniel Sheehan. Daniel Sheehan is a very, very, very famous attorney in Washington. He is the head of the New Paradigm Institute. He tells a story about being an advisor to President Jimmy Carter in the 70s, right? And Danny Sheehan, went into a skiff, and he was shown photos in a skiff. A skiff is the highest level security room in the Pentagon, or maybe it's under the Capitol building. And he was shown photos that he held in his hand of crashed UFOs with aliens. Danny Sheehan. Mm-hmm. Danny Sheehan is not a BS artist, okay?
I've heard this story, to be honest, Dan. Yeah.
Danny's a major genius. I mean, unbelievable genius. So for Wool Riders, Daniel Sheehan has held UFO materials in his hand.
Fabulous. Okay, Les.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, Mike, the disabled Welshman, is asking why bother with disclosure? We know UFOs are real. We know that they walk amongst us. So why bother? Yeah.
That's an excellent question. That's a very, very good question. I've had this conversation in the last few days with Ron Janix, who's the head of Contact in the Desert, and Ron James, who's the head of MUFON Television, and he's a documentary filmmaker. Me and Ron all think that disclosure probably is not going to happen. And it's not going to happen anytime soon. And it's not going to happen whereby President Trump or, whoever the new Pope is, or Putin or the King of England, or anyone goes on TV and says, okay, you know what? Time has come. Extraterrestrials are real. They've been visiting Earth for millennia. We have relationships. We felt now is the time to share. That's what Stephen Bassett's dream in life is. That's big. He calls it big D disclosure, right? Capital D disclosure. Trump goes on TV. There's aliens. They're real. We know they're real. That's big D disclosure. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I
think you're right with that. I know Les touched on it earlier before stream. I don't know whether he wants to ask that question regarding Stephen, do you?
Oh, yeah. When Stephen Bassett was on our show, as Paul said about 2 or 3 weeks ago now, he said there was some kind of small disclosure or whatever disclosure was going to happen within 2 or 3 weeks, or definitely before the end of that month, on the month that we had him on the stream. But we've heard nothing, so I don't want to put you on the spot here.
No. Well, okay, a couple of things.
Either we've missed something at this end of the planet, or nothing's happened. It's one of the two.
A couple of things. One is, everyone who knows and loves Steve Bassett like me, He's been telling the world disclosure's coming for literally 30 years. I have friends. He told them in the early 90s, disclosure 6 months away. Okay, so Steve Bassett is the unicorn and rainbows guy for your disclosure. He wants it yesterday, okay? That's number one. Number two, next Tuesday, the 29th, there is a new UAP congressional hearing in Washington, D.C., April 29th, next Tuesday. That might be, Les, that might be what Stephen was referring to.
That might be what he was referring to.
Number three is, this seems to be the consensus. In December 2017, there was a front page article in the New York Times that the Pentagon is still investigating UAPs. From that till today, people call it the modern era of disclosure. What does that mean? There has been articles in the New York Times. Ross Coulthart came on the scene on NewsNation, right? He interviewed David Grush. Before Grush testified in Congress. So there's Grush, there's Lou Elizondo. There's going to be the hearing next week. This information is coming out. So Mike, the disabled Welshman, disclosure information has been steadily coming out since December 2017. It's the modern disclosure era. I agree with you. Everyone who studies this knows they're real. This phenomenon is a real thing. Why do we bother? I think everyone here right now today, I think we're all united. We want the world to know this truth. Right.
Absolutely.
For what all of us. I mean, I had a call it when I was in the deli, and I got a UFO. I got a download from extraterrestrials. I don't know where my download came from, or my Father in heaven, one of those two. I feel compelled, and so do Paul and Les, to tell the world this is real. To open your hearts and minds, study this, look into this, because when it does happen, if extraterrestrials land in Times Square, a lot of people are going to be very, very upset. A lot of we'll be thrilled if they're not demonic. We'll be thrilled.
We will, unless we're a crop and it's harvest time.
Unless they're going to eat. I always say, if they come to help us, that's great. If they come to kill us or eat us, not so good. But sorry, let's go on.
Yeah, can I put this scenario in front of you, Dan?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really going back to when you was all laid on the grass and those 200 people assumed they've all seen the same thing, but nobody really ever talks about it from there on in much. And if there was, what profound effect could like a full disclosure, i.e., coming out the words of the king or whoever, Trump or whoever, what will it change? Because some people will say, Dan, well, yeah, we've been told about it, but I don't think it's real. Do you see where I'm going with that one?
Well, Stephen Bassett and Daniel Sheehan are making a living with what will that change? The answer, what will that change? Everything. Every single thing will change. Because let's say, and I believe this to be true, I believe in ancient astronaut theory. I believe Richard Dolan doesn't. I had this talk with him. I believe extraterrestrials helped to create mankind. At least 50,000, maybe 100,000 years ago. I believe that they are our forefathers. So what would that change? If extraterrestrials land and they go on TV and they say, people of Earth, we created you. We created you. Moses was one of our prophets. Jesus was one of our prophets. Muhammad and Buddha were our prophets. Religion changes. All of religion changes. All of human history changes. The technology, in my book, after they came, they give us their technology. So we have free energy. If they were to give us their technology, oil, gas, lithium batteries, nuclear power, all that goes away. All that. So history, religion, technology, politics, if they're more powerful than our military, I mean, are they going to be the presidents of the earth? Well, it changes every single thing. So Danny's Sheehan's thing is called the New Paradigm Institute. New paradigm means this is going to be the earth after they come and reveal themselves. Here's all the things that will be effective.
Well, if what you've just said did come to fruition, in my opinion, then all of that changes. Then these others, these unknown others, have to take charge and control very quickly, because the powers that be, the people that are reaping the rewards of all the energy and all the pharmaceuticals and everything, are suddenly going to be left with nothing. So it would turn to absolute chaos, and if they didn't take control very quickly. And here's my take on why we're not going to see disclosure soon. And I'm on the same page as you with this, Dan, because if disclosure was imminent, then the governments of the world globally would know about this, every pocket of power within the world, and they'd want to be the first to announce it. And nobody's jumping to announce it. So I don't think disclosure's imminent.
A theory that Dr. Avi Loeb has, a theory is that the aliens themselves have told the world leaders, the power elite, whoever knows, we, the aliens, we are not yet ready to be revealed.
No.
Now think about that. Like, think about that for a second. If that's their instructions,
if they can wield that power and people are silenced, yeah,
right.
I've got it.
Or else we'll be pissed. Okay, let's say Trump. Let's say, okay, maybe Trump knows. He's hinted that he knows stuff, right? Let's say Trump or Biden or Obama, whoever knew. But the aliens themselves said, don't reveal us. We're not ready. If you do, we'll be pissed. Well, no president's going to say, oh, I want to piss them off, right? So that's the thing. And then also, Paul, whoever, like you said, the military, the pharmaceutical companies, if all that goes away, those are the power people probably who control the truth embargo, and they don't want us to know about aliens, because if there's free energy, all the oil oligarchs and all the oil companies in the world, they become obsolete. And the biggest money on the planet Earth, as we know, is from oil. It would change. It would just change the economics.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do we have more questions, Les?
Yeah. Well, I'll just get one in myself here. What I'm thinking of here is that we can probably agree in this one is that the human race, they've kind of got a self-destruct button. Would you say that, Dan?
Yes.
You know,
sure.
whichever situation we're in, we always want to war with somebody, whether that's over acquiring land, gold mines or whatever. And so, knowing that, then couldn't you say that not all aliens are the same? Could you say that aliens have got an agenda between themselves? And when we say aliens, we could be talking a multitude of races here, Dan.
Absolutely correct. A friend of mine named Paul, both of you, you should have him on your show. Do you know the name Craig Campobasso?
No.
I'll turn you guys on to Craig.
Yeah, just
Craig Campobasso. He's a well-known Hollywood talent agent, or casting agent, but he's been a lifelong UAP ET researcher. He has a book. You guys have to read this book. It's called The Extraterrestrial Almanac Guide to the Extraterrestrial Species. The Almanac Guide to the Extraterrestrial Species. I just read it. In his book, you guys, he has 82 races of aliens.
Yeah.
82 with not photos, with illustrations, text about who they are, where they came from, what their agendas are. And all of this is based on like 30 years of research and experiencers who have interacted with these people and brilliant minds. He's interviewed people all over the world. So to answer you, Les, now I asked him at our Christmas party, I said, Craig, are there really 82 races? I asked him to his face. He said, Dan, there's 120 races. My publisher ran out of pages for my book. He only would let me put in 82. He said there's 120 races that we know of. So Les, all of those races, think of the different races of human beings.
Do you think, though, Dan, that and I'm not saying he's not true or being dishonest or untruthful, but do you think that just kind of slows down the progress of getting this knowledge out in a way? And he's doing it. I don't mean he's not doing it. He's doing his thing, but it's hard enough for the populace to accept that there's one race of extraterrestrial stroke alien, and then you've got somebody saying there's all these other races. I mean, I'm not saying he shouldn't be doing it. It's his right to do what he wants, but it's going to be hard for people to get their heads around.
That's such a great such a great point. You know,
And-
like, look, if little ET landed tomorrow, oh, isn't he cute? Isn't he great? There's aliens. There really are aliens. If there's 120, if they all
Who are you dealing with?
120 landed all at once,
Yeah.
the chaos would be, it would be
Like Star Wars.
overwhelming.
Well, that's it. I mean, I only bring this point up is because what Paul wrote in his book, The Night People, if it was aliens he was dealing with, that was not very nice. That was not very good.
No, right.
Whitley Strieber in his
Yeah.
book, Communion, the very self and same thing, not very good. Probed in all sorts of ways, not very good.
I know.
So do we want these people down here and doing that type of thing?
Oh no, do we want that? No, absolutely not.
Should we be
It's like-
careful what we wish for, Les? Yeah, you're right.
That's right. Nick Pope, be careful what you wish for. with this post.
One thing about Nick Pope, you know, because, and I don't mind Nick at all. There's odd times we exchange messages, and I know that some people have a downer on Nick. I don't want any in comments, please, because I'm not pro Nick, I'm not anti Nick. But what I'm saying is, when we've been to conferences and done conferences, and there's been a lot of guests, international guests come, and after the conference, these international guests, they've all got a table with a picture at the back of them. You don't see them. You see Nick Pope. He spends time and he interacts with people. I like that. Daryl Sims did the same, but a lot of those, and we're not just saying Americans, but a lot of the people just walk away. I've done my talk. I'm off. So I've got a lot of respect for Nick for that reason. But that's not part of this talk. So go on, let's hit us with another question.
Okay, I think I've stole Draco's question there. What makes Daniel think that aliens can be trusted considering they allow themselves to be worshipped as gods?
That's such a great question. Are you guys aware of, you probably are, do you know who Rael is?
Is this, I'm going to make myself sound foolish. Is this supposed to be another intelligence? No.
Rael, R-A-E-L. Okay, so I just, in the last 6 months, learned about, read about, and then I interviewed last week on my podcast, Rael's, a rabbi from Rael. Okay, Rael, okay. R-A-E-L. I'll do this quickly. In 1973, a Frenchman named Claude Voorhees, was walking around in France, hiking near a volcano, a dormant volcano, just hiking. A craft landed, a little alien man came out, said to him, "Come here." Claude said, "Who are you?" He goes, "My name is Yahweh. I created mankind. You are our next prophet on the earth." Claude spent 6 days aboard this craft, writing all the messages from this little alien named Yahweh. That was 1973. The alien renamed Claude, Rael, R-A-E-L. It means the light, messenger of light. Rael then wrote books, did lectures, toured the world. He has today, it's called the Raelian religion. He's about 80 years old. He lives in Japan. He has he launched a religion called the Raelian. No, according to him, he is the last prophet on the earth. His goal on earth is to tell mankind that we were created by Yahweh and his race of extraterrestrials. I grew up pretty Jewish, pretty conservative Jewish. And, God. Well, to me, God was the white man, the guy with the white beard in the sky with the throne. That's God, and like God's almighty and all this. I then came to believe that ancient alien theory. I really, truly, I met George Noory in 2007. He gave a lecture. At the end of the lecture, Paul, I cried at this one too. I cried because he explained ancient alien theory for 90 minutes. And I was like, oh my God, that explains everything. Every single question I've ever had, he just explained. So, Draco, I don't want aliens to make us think they're gods. So I think aliens and God are two different things. It's a very complex question that you're asking there.
How did you come up, just before let's go to the next question, And I'm glad this has run over, because it's great, because we always get punished if we don't ask questions. I know we intended doing an hour.
No, I love doing questions.
Yeah. What did you come away with after speaking to this man?
So I interviewed Rael's, one of his rabbis, not him.
Okay.
Now, here's what happened. Along the way, Rael became a multimillionaire. He had a mansion. He had naked girls running around. They had orgies. Last year, Netflix did a documentary. It's about Rael.
So it's a cult, then basically we've created a cult.
That's what happened. He got so much love and attention and power and money because he told the world, I am the last prophet on earth. Now, I don't disbelieve him. I really don't disbelieve him. I read his book. The book is absolutely fascinating. It's called Intelligent Design by Rael, R-A-E-L. I just read the book. His rabbi, who lives in Israel, I interviewed him 2 weeks ago. And he said, I know Rael. I believe his story. I believe we were created by this group, Yahweh and his extraterrestrial race, 25, 30,000 years ago. I believe this is true. But there's a lot of weird stuff in there, you guys. Like, Rael says he was taken to their planet and he had lunch. He had lunch with Jesus, Moses, Buddha, and Muhammad. He had lunch with them. Okay. He says they can. He says they can replicate any human being through their computer machine if they take a piece of skin from their forehead and put this piece of skin into this machine. They can replicate any living creature from the past, present, or future. Okay, well, I find that one hard to believe.
I would just say I can't been made around that, to be honest.
So Rael's credibility with me personally is hard to believe, but it's a fascinating story.
Well, yeah, I mean, because that won't account for all these reported abductions, and if all they needed was a piece of skin, from the.
Well, that's this one particular one. Yeah, that's what what Ray said that they said.
So I'm just going to take you back to what you said earlier on in the show. You said, or you believe that aliens created as the humans 50,000 years ago. Put me right on that, Dan. Is that what you said? About 50,000.
I think that's what it was. I think.
Yeah.
You're not trying to trick Dan up, are you?
Well, I'm trying.
No, I think I said 50. Well,
50. Yeah. 50, we'll just say that.
Well, hold on. The University of Chicago did a study years ago.
Yeah.
And it's called the Great Brain in your head, the Great Brain Study. And according to the University of Chicago scientists, about 50,000 years ago, less human brains went from walnuts to to melons. And according to the study, it happened much more quickly than would have happened through simple evolution.
Evolution, it shouldn't have.
So if listen, I even asked Dolan. Dolan said, Dan, I understand that theory. He's personally studied it, and Dolan says I don't believe it, but I do. If 50,000 years ago extraterrestrials saw our chimpanzee, monkey, ape, Cro-Magnon man, whoever we were before, and said, there's a good race. They have potential, right? We shave off the hair, make them stand up a little better, make their braids bigger. They could, and then Zecharia Sitchin said that the aliens did this to dig gold. That's a whole nother thing. That's why they made us to dig gold. But if they injected their DNA into Cro-Magnon man and created Homo sapiens, that explains so much. And I personally believe that that's what happened.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll move on with.
I wish we could prove that, but I think that's the greatest theory ever.
We'll not read out Linny's answer to that question. It just brings it down. He always brings tone down, does he, and Linny? I'm only joking.
Yeah. So Antimo is asking one more question, if possible. All this stuff is evidenced. Why do we still have to prove what the government is trying to deny?
Okay, that's very simple. The Roswell crash happened. That is a statement of fact. It's been proven time and time and time again. The U.S. military and the U.S. government covered it up within 24 hours. The press officer at Roswell, New Mexico, sent out a press release that ran all over the world and said, we have recovered a crashed disc. Okay, that ran all over the world within 24 hours. Uh-oh, sorry. No. We were wrong. Oops. Imagine that poor Charles Holt. No, not Charles Holt. Walter Hout was his name. That poor bastard. That would have been me because I'm a publicist, right? Here's my joke. My joke is Truman saw that press release. Truman probably called this poor bastard publicist. Who the hell are you? Who do you think you are to tell the world about aliens? I'm the president. You didn't clear this through me? I'm Harry Truman. What are you, crazy? They covered it up. It's been covered up from that day. That was day one of the truth embargo. That was day one. Harry Truman, day one, the truth embargo happened to this day. Why? Paul and I discussed a few minutes ago. The oil oligarchs, the technology, religion, all the power players. It changes all of mankind's history. The government, no government in the world today is ready for us to know this truth.
I would agree.
Okay, and a question from me. What was this, do you think they discovered under the pyramids?
Oh, I love that. I love that. Is that just the greatest? I'm not. I know as much as you.
So tell us, Dan, what you think they have discovered and where it may lead to.
I know as much as you.
I'm glad he's asked you, Dan, because I haven't got it. I know about it, but I don't know anything about it. Do you know what?
That's like you know who the person to ask, because it would blow his mind. Zahi Hawass, right? The Egyptologist, because he's always been saying, oh, the pyramids, they're only 3,000 years old. Mankind built them. No. Sorry, Zahi. They were built hundreds of thousands of years ago. A different race of aliens and or humans that no longer are on the planet, maybe the Atlanteans. But Les, wouldn't it be great if they uncovered that? It's like what, 80 story? It's like just this unbelievable huge structure under there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
mankind didn't create whatever that is. That was not created by mankind.
Yeah, and I think they did find it by sound waves, didn't they? The sound waves, going into the ground, and obviously artists have tried to make
so why
of a picture of what it might look like, and when you look at the pictures, Dan, it could be an absolutely gigantic battery.
Right, I think that's what it was. An enormous power source. Why is that not the front page of the New York Times? Why? Because it's so remarkable and so incredible that the truth of whatever that thing is so amazing. No media, they don't have balls. Modern media doesn't, unless you're hitting the head with something. They don't cover it.
So then your team, have you got anybody within the team that's reaching out and getting the information on these potentially groundbreaking stories and pieces of information?
Well, that one. You know who William Henry is? You know William Henry, that name?
No.
Okay. William Henry is a very well-known archaeologist, historian, right? Paranormal historian, archaeologist. He's friends with my friend Lisa Strickland. I said, Lisa, can you ask William Henry what the hell's going on with the Egyptian pyramids? Because it would take some Egyptologist or archegologist to answer that.
Decipher what's happening. Yeah. That's excellent. I can see a few more questions here. Are you still okay for questions, Dan?
Sure.
Yeah, and we've been through this question, but I'll put it on the screen anyway. Tetrastatic Dan, do you think we were created as workers by the ancient aliens to man the planets for their needs? And you talked about
atomic gold.
Yeah. I think the first book I read about ufology, and I only really got into this field really in 2007. The first book I read was Chariots of the Gods. The second book I read by Zecharia Sitchin was Genesis Revisited. And Tetrastatic, read Genesis Revisited, and Zecharia Sitchin's theory is they created humans to mine gold for the extraterrestrials. The gold was needed for their propulsion systems or for their breathing apparatus. It was gold. For whatever reason, gold was needed by these ancient aliens.
Do you? I mean, obviously, all I can do is speculate, and what do I know? But if they've got this ability, this knowledge, and this technology, Why couldn't they create a machine to extract gold?
That's such a great question, right, Paul?
It's,
and then whoever the aliens are had to have been created by God, because who created God? So
it's just add another naught. We can just keep going, can't we?
It's like infinity. What's okay? There's infinity in space. Okay, what's 1 inch away from infinity?
Yeah, where does it end? These
are questions that can't be answered.
Okay, question from Draco again. And if the biblical narrative is true, we are told that Jesus intends to unleash a massive slaughter on the unbelievers. How can this be anything other than bad?
Well, I don't really.
Wow.
I don't. That's a hell of a
thing.
Boy, leaving on a bummer, man. Leaving on a bummer. What a bad note. Listen, my daughter and my ex-wife are very much into Jesus. And they go to church every Sunday. I'm Jewish, but they're not. And they tell me Jesus, loving, kind, be wonderful. I watched the show The Chosen. Have you guys seen The Chosen?
No.
If you want to see Jesus presented as a real man, warts and all, it's called The Chosen. It's a huge phenomenon. It's millions and millions of people have been watching it.
And do you think, Dan, that's obviously it's a great. I'll look for this now and see
The Chosen. Yeah.
Well, do you think that's because that is being portrayed as the narrative that we want to believe, or want him to be?
You know what I thought you were going to ask, Paul? I thought you were going to ask, are we seeing The Chosen on TV now because perhaps Jesus is going to be coming back soon?
Well, what do you think of that question you've just asked yourself? Then we'll just direct it at you.
If you were to ask my ex-wife and my daughter, Jesus is preparing to come back. You know what I'm hearing, you guys? 2027. Have you heard this?
Yeah, yes, I have.
2027. Either the aliens land in Times Square, or the president, the Pope, or the King says, "Yeah, they're here. They've been here." Or Jesus comes. Something apparently, I've heard this from a dozen people. 2027. Something pretty cool is going to happen. Hopefully, we're all here then. Still.
So, as respect, I don't really adhere to any religion. Church of England. I was brought up in a very small school. Religion absolutely rammed down our throats.
Yeah, me too, man.
It kind of turned me away from it a little bit. So, but I mean this with respect, and I hope people get where I'm coming from. But the Pope's just passed away,
right?
And so we've got a mass thought process going on of grief and emotion, and there's a lot of turmoil in the world. Do you think we might enter an age of miracles? You didn't expect that question, did you?
I think there have been ages of miracles on the earth for hundreds of thousands of years. The pyramids in Egypt, the pyramids in South and Central America, the Nazca lines. The you know what I want to do before I die? I want to go to Easter Island. I want to touch a moai. Because I think honestly, I think I would cry. I really do. I think I would cry. There have been things all over the world. Tebeke template. Was it Kobekle template?
I can never pronounce it. We need Andrew.
I can't pronounce it. You know what I mean? These ancient sites. Modern man did not build any of these. Modern man did not build any of these things. There have been ages of miracles on the earth, maybe 1 million years, hundreds of thousands of years. I would love to see miracles. Listen, I'll be 69 next month. My mother's going to be 91. I hope my mother lives to see some kind of a revelation.
Yeah.
The problem is, in my book, After They Came, I write about benevolent aliens who come to Earth to save mankind. And a lot of people have said, Dan, I love your book. Why? Benevolent aliens. Benevolent. They're not here to kill us or eat us. But if the real aliens are going to come and kill us and eat us, then we're all screwed. And then it would be best if disclosure never happened, right? I just assume, you know what? If that's the choice, stay there. Don't come down.
And in the words of Pope, be careful what you wish for.
Be careful what you wish for. Exactly.
Okay. Not a question. I did put on earlier this. Not a question, but Anthony was saying not a question. But the last comment from me, I do agree that there are a lot of different ETs here already. And by the way, Nick Pope is great.
Thank you.
And this is a question from Derbyshire. what does Dan think about the telepathy tapes?
I saw that question earlier.
I just recently heard about this. I watched one episode. It's a TV documentary series.
Okay.
Dr. Diane Hennessy Powell is a very brilliant and now famous psychiatrist. She's going to be speaking at Contact in the Desert about psionics. She has been studying autistic children who can't talk like Paul and Les and I are talking now conventionally, but they have telepathy. These children have telepathy with their parents, apparently. The mother could think something, and the kid either draws on a piece of paper, or like, let's say the mom says, I'm thinking I'm hungry. The kid will go and open the fridge and give the mom some food. There's thing there. I think I absolutely believe that's true. I personally, in this book, in my other book, My Paranormal Life, I've had maybe 10 times in my life, I've had telepathy moments that came true. I've thought something and it absolutely came true.
Do you think telepathy moment? I nearly had one of my moments then where I couldn't say a word. Do you think then that that's just the same as synchronicity, where you're kind of thinking of someone, and I don't know, let's assume I'm in Bridlington and I've not met somebody from Doncaster 100 miles away for 20 years, and they're thinking, oh, Paul lives in Bridlington, and I'm thinking, and I don't know, it just kind of happens. Do you think that we're communicating unknowingly then? I know that these parents are communicating.
Yeah, that's almost okay. In the telepathy tapes, if you're an autistic child with the mom, it's almost like they have an invisible phone cord, right? They have it's almost hardwired. This kid came out of the mom's body. There's almost a hardwire connection. But Paul, what you just said is so interesting. Synchronicity and telepathy. Ron Janix is the head of Contact in the Desert. I've met him 2 years ago. An hour ago, he called me the same second I called him, and we both were going to.
We've all done it,
and we both called each other to tell each other the exact same sentence, and it just happened. I have that incredibly with him. Synchronicity, telepathy, like I call it, like when I created Hollywood Disclosure Alliance. I mean, it was a light bulb. It came to me, Paul. It came to me. The words in my head, Hollywood. I just saw Hollywood. I saw the words in my. Those three words had never been put together in the history of the Earth before.
Do you think then that animals have this as well? As in, just one small example. Then we'll go over to what you and Les think.
Sure.
My gran had a dog that didn't get to go for a walk very often. Well, only when I took it, and we lived about 3 miles away. And she said. Okay. That dog knew when you were coming, and it weren't predictable. I didn't come at 7 o'clock every night, but the dog knew when I was coming. She says, and it's been stood, and it knows, and like 15 minutes before you arrive, it's there waiting.
Well, animals have extraordinary senses. First of all, their smell is like 700 times or something, 70, 700 something times whatever humans. Animals have incredible instincts. You've heard the expression female intuition, right? Female intuition. My daughter has told me things over the years. She's always right. Female intuition. I think telepathy, intuition, synchronicity. A lot. I think a lot of these things could be interwoven.
Yeah, I'll just go back to what you.
And telepathy. I couldn't say it, when Ron Janix were on, I couldn't say it. I had about 10 attempts at it. But anyway, go on, Les.
I'll just go back to what you said earlier. When you had this phone call, Kent, was it from Ron Janix, did you say?
Yeah, an hour ago. Right before I came on with you guys. Yeah.
You was thinking the same thing as what he said on the phone call. Now, being devil's advocate here, couldn't it be that you kind of both involved in the same subject, that the bound to be some crossover on what you're thinking, and that's going to end up in a phone call to what you was previously thinking?
If that were if an hour ago was a one-off, I would say yes. Okay. Last year, I was walking. I walk 5 miles every so often. I was walking 5 miles. As I was walking last year, I saw in my head a big giant silver X. In my head, big giant silver X. I called Ron Janix after my walk. I said, Ron, Contact in the Desert 2024. Contact in the Desert. It's your 10-year anniversary. The poster should be a big giant silver X. He goes, Dan, hold on a minute. He texted me the poster was a big giant silver X. He goes, Dan, we just finished this poster 5 minutes ago.
Right.
Okay, so I've had that with Brian Jennings for 2 years. It's happened probably 50 times with him.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you.
Okay, and going through my list. Let's have a look. Casino always gets a good question in. I ain't pre-read this, so here we go. Here are numerous instances where monatomic gold emits an anti-gravity field. The Anunnaki took most of it. Jesus was the reincarnation of Thoth and Atlantean spiritualist scientists. I got there.
Well, the gold, again, is Zechariah Sitchin. That's the only place I've ever read or heard about it. I don't know who Thoth was.
Do you know something, Zeno? We'll just throw this out because you've got loads of great questions and knowledge. Why not come on and share a bit of it with us?
There you go.
Reach out because every week he's got some good questions.
There you go.
And Dragonborn is kind of echoing what I was brought up a little bit earlier. How can they be benevolent given what's happened to Paul and others? Sorry, it doesn't ring true to me.
Well, that's the easy answer. There are 120 different races, according to my friend Craig Campobasso. He is a 30-year researcher. There are different races. Some are kind, some are neutral, and some are evil. That's the answer.
Yeah, and it's difficult because all we can do is speculate. And I'm kind of with Dragonborn on this one a little bit, simply because of my experiences. But there's the other one to throw at the guys that say it's all positive and euphoric. What if we're being tricked? What if it's just one big ploy just to kind of win us over and steer us in the path that they want us to be moving along in? We're the sheep.
Well, you know what's so funny? That reminded me. My favorite episode of the Twilight Zone TV series. Remember the Twilight Zone?
I do, yeah.
There's a famous episode called To Serve Man. To Serve Man. Look it up. It's on YouTube. Aliens come to Earth. They're benevolent. They're kind. They give us free energy. Everything's great. We're like, oh, they're here. We're saved. Mankind, everything. They solve all our problems. And the lead alien has this book in his arms. And the book is called To Serve Man. That's the name of the book, To Serve Man. At the end of the show, the alien says, people of the Earth, come on our ship. We want to take you to our world. We want to invite you to see the other parts of the universe. Okay. So there's lines of human beings going into the ship, lines and lines of human. And the guy sitting there with his book, and this lady translated the title of the book into English. And the lady goes, don't get on the ship. It's a cookbook. Right? To serve man.
Yeah.
It's a cookbook.
Yeah.
So Paul, that is right.
Mm-hmm.
They could come and say, we're Jesus. We created Jesus. We love you. Come. We want to show you Mars. Okay. And then they eat us. Right. So who knows? We don't know.
Terrifying concept, that, wouldn't it? To be walking in and I better stop what I'm saying because I've been too graphic. What's in my head?
Yes. Right. And Studio 211 Productions. Not so much a question here, but my first day like UFO experience as a teenager witnessed by dozens of others left me feeling disturbed, intrigued, and questioned. What about yours? And you talked about yours.
I talked about mine.
Yeah.
My first one was in 1970 with my dad. Now here's an interesting thing. Studio 211. I was enthralled that day when I saw that UFO, that day. And then for 47 years, I forgot it happened.
Yeah.
I never told anyone. My father and I never even talked about it, right? Isn't that interesting? When I got home with my dad, you would think, Dad, what was that? It was like nothing because I saw his look. He had no interest. I was into drums, man. I was rock and rolling and going to parties. I'm not thinking UFOs. So my answer was I was enthralled for about 2 or 3 hours, and then I forgot about it for 47 years.
Do you think then there's a possibility that not just your life, everybody's lives and mapped out for us, because maybe that was designed, maybe that was meant to be, and maybe your dad's passing and you having this thought was all part of the master plan of the unknown others.
My daughter said exactly that to me about a month ago. She goes, Dad, I think all your paranormal things in your life have been laid out for you. Yes. I don't know. I can't prove it, but I would say, if you read my book, My Paranormal Life, I would say that, yes, that happened for me.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, Dan. This happened in 1970. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there a lot of science fiction programs on the TV? Like, we were programmed about Martians. My favorite Martian was one.
Well, that was in the.
And you sort of like, you think, well, I've seen it on the TV, so you get a bit, whether you was into music or not, it just went into the melded into the background anyway, Dan. You know what I mean? Because of all the pre-programming that you'd seen on TV.
Some people have said to me, Dan, you weren't meant to remember the event. And I've talked to other experiencers. I've talked to several, and they've said, Dan, I had a sighting when I was 14. I was in high school. And then I forgot a guy named Michael Ian Black. He's a CNN TV star. He's a friend of mine. He's on CNN every Saturday night. He said he had an encounter with a UFO in high school, and he forgot about it for maybe 35, 40 years. Is that part of the
process? I would say
they're like, okay, this is going to be really cool, and then it's just going to, because you guys, it just dissipated until my father died. Yeah. I didn't remember that UFO, and that was it. This is not a little. This was a huge thing, huge.
Just before we go on to one more question, because I don't think we're going to end this without Dan ending it with us, because I meant to say this at least two times during the course of the live stream, and this applies to me and Les. There's going on for 200 people in chat. Just take time and press the like, please. Like and subscribe. It's just supporting us a little bit, and we really would appreciate it. It's not even a moment out of your time. It's there in front of you. And over to you, Les. Let's carry on.
Okay, so we'll just deviate a little bit. You're going to have to sit in the background while I get these questions out, because I think these are aimed at Paul, Dan.
You're still okay, Dan? We've still got
right?
Yeah. I'm all yours.
Let's have a look. Let's see what appears on the screen. Debbie Shaw says, I love that T-shirt, Paul.
Oh, the Benton phenomena. Yeah, thank you. Laura, you've met Laura, my daughter. She got me this T-shirt. All girls get me T-shirts, Deb, but I've no choice in it then, because normally I'm just a plain kind of T-shirt guy,
That's
but
great.
they get me stuff.
So
yeah. And plus, it's promoting Steve Meara's Phenomena that side, Phenomena magazine as well.
Yeah, we'll do a bit of promotion in a minute, Paul. And
I had an article in that magazine last year.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Great guy, Steve. Yeah, and I'll be speaking at his conference, which you'll see in a moment.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Nickname Paul should do Contacts on the Cliffs event.
Do you know, there'd be no shortage of people to attend, and later this week, Dan, I'll send you in fact, watch the latest short that Les is going to put up. What day, Les? Saturday?
It could be Saturday, but it could be Monday. So
we'll send you the link for it. I sent it in the other day.
Send it to me. Yeah, send me the link. Yes.
You'll see footage there, which is just little fragments of footage, but it's no boast. It's as good as anything you're going to see at Contact in the Desert or any conference. It's really good footage.
I believe you. And listen, you guys, standing offer. Whenever you have something interesting for the WOW signal, just send it to me.
Yeah, I'll take you up on that. We will be doing it.
Yeah, we'll do that.
You might get sick of it.
Well, don't abuse them.
Tony Worrell for Paul. I know he's very interested in the Rendlesham Forest. And Ross Coulthard interviewed Gary Heseltine on that very subject yesterday. Well worth a watch.
Yeah, I shall watch that then, Tony. Thank you. And I think historic case 1980 point in question, but it's still got mileage in it. Rendlesham Forest incident, and
Nick Pope is an expert on that case too.
Yeah, and so Gary's been making. I don't know whether he ever finished documentary, but he was working on a documentary on Rendlesham Forest. I don't know whether it got finished, and I've met and had conversations with Colonel Holt, well, at least 2 times, probably 3 times at length, and great guy, on point. He's just don't waver with what he's got.
All right, so Paul, why wasn't that one the cover of the New York Times? Right, Colonel Holt, the major guy. This is
Absolutely.
not a lunatic. He's not a lunatic or a BS artist. How is that not the major military officer, decorated officer, had an encounter with a UFO landed on the ground? How is that not the New York Times? The major media does not want to embrace this topic. They do not. They're kicking and screaming, Les. They're kicking and screaming now.
So true, Dan. Yeah, good point there.
Yeah,
really good point.
I mean, it's even more remarkable because this event happened over at least 2 nights, and there was a build-up before that.
And the fact is that the area still produces an array of unexplained phenomena, and it did before that as well.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
No,
they came up with the dopey lighthouse light. Yeah, like Colonel Hall doesn't know a lighthouse light from a UFO on the ground. You can't tell the difference.
It would just disprove that. I think it would a guy. Somebody correct me. Vince Thurkettle, I think his name was. I may be wrong here, but I think he might have been lighthouse keeper. But there was a shield on the back of the lighthouse to stop it reflecting inland. So the guy who thought of the theory, who was an astronomer called Ian, I'll not say his surname. I'm not saying he's wrong, but he thought of the theory. He probably didn't think it through well enough. That's all I'll say.
It's like the weather balloon. It's like Roswell was a weather balloon.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
However they can throw the masses like us off the track, they will do so.
Have you noticed, though, that the staple explanations of the 60s, weather balloons, they're not there no more?
Swamp gas. Well, Dr. Hynek's swamp gas.
Strange atmospherics. They're not there no more. We've got to find.
Well, now everything is drones. Everything is drones.
Yeah,
drones
absolutely.
Oh, by the way, the one thing, I think one of you asked me this earlier. The one thing I remember in my life ever that my father ever said to me ever about his job was, I was probably 8, 9, or 10, and my father was walking through the living room, and he goes, Danny, I invented drones. And he walked. Now, I'm looking at my father, I'm thinking, I'd really love some ice cream right about, what, made him not, Dad, can we get ice cream? Danny, I swear to you, that my father said to me, Danny, I invented drones. My father invented drones. Think about that. So that's why he knew what that UFO was. He was part of unmanned military.
Do you think he's left any notes behind or anything?
There's one other thing he did tell me. It might have been that same day. He told me that in the 60s, this is probably 1968, he said, I invented a drone that looked like a flying garbage can, and it flew over North Vietnam. This is during the Vietnam War. And he told me, it had a camera. So imagine a flying garbage can over North Vietnam with a camera. And he said it clicked film. And then when the little rolls of film were done, he had little parachutes attached to the rolls of film with beeping lights. And these little parachutes came to Earth. And he said, that's how our soldiers on the ground found the film. Now, that's truly the only thing he ever told me. Wow. So my father, now I have a picture. I found a picture of a flying garbage can drone, and I'm convinced that my father invented that one.
Excellent. Thank you.
And was your father, did you say he was a contractor or was he a military guy?
He was not military. He was an in-house electronics engineer physicist, in-house for the U.S. Army at Fort Monmouth, New Jersey for 45 years. He was not military. But he was a GS-15, like whatever the high GS, it's called GS. He was the highest GS, whatever. He gave talks at the Pentagon. My mother said he went to White Sands all the time. I never knew that. I mean, think about it. This is in the 50s, 60s, 70s. My father went to White Sands all the time. That's pretty cool.
Okay. Anyway, we're doing a 360-degree roll here because Audacious Dave says, when are we going to Bempton Cliffs with a guitar? So we're taking it one step further, this one there, Paul. Walking into the sky and try our psionics.
Well, I have a psionics. I have a shamanic drum, but I don't know about a guitar. And
bring a guitar.
We could try it. I can't play guitar. Do you know I've got one of my daughters? She can pick an instrument up and play it. I don't know how she does.
Bring your daughter. Bring your daughter.
She with flute. But take Jess up there and see what she can produce. But great idea, Dave.
When I saw my 2008 UFO at ESETI, people. They built a fire on this 200 acres of nothing land, and people were playing guitars and tambourines and maracas, and we were people, not me. People were dancing around this fire with guitars. So I think music could certainly be part of that process.
Just evoking, it's
sure. Why not? Why not?
Yep.
Okay, so we're back to the serious with Dave Barker's question. Paul, have you ever tried reaching out to the beings that visited you as a child for all the negativity? Do you think it brought you to where you are today, the brilliant author and researcher?
Well, thanks for final words, Dave. That's really kind of you. But I've tried all the time. I've tried, and we haven't even got time, Dave. But Linny will tell you. And there were an experience other night that were really strange. And I don't mean it was that, but something happened. We're not going to do it. We might do it Sunday. But I've tried all of the time. I think like Dan, like everybody in chat, if you're out here looking for experience, looking for answers to your own bit of the puzzle, you're asking all the time. And yeah, I am asking why, for what reason you would cause somebody all that distress. And yeah, I am.
See, Paul, you know what? I've had very lovely experiences, and you've had negative, and it goes to the gamut of this phenomenon. But personally, I want to say I'm sorry that you had bad experiences, because mine make me cry with like being elated, right?
Well, Whitley Strieber said of me, he doesn't know anybody in the world that's been more touched and affected, and I don't know their exact words, but that thereabouts, by the visitors as Paul Sinclair.
Really? Wow. And that's coming from Whitley Strieber. Boy, that's like if Paul McCartney says, hey, that's a good song that you just wrote there.
Yeah, well, you did say it.
Okay, yeah, Paul, we're at the stage where we're doing a bit of self-promotion now. Dan, I've put all your links that you sent me, your new bio, etc., in tonight's description of the show.
Thank you. Great,
so if people want to visit any of them websites, it should all be on there. Now, Paul, you're at a conference and a conference in the UK, which is the Awakening. Tell us a little bit about that. Yes,
the Awakening 17th, so it's next month, on the 17th, and as you can see, I'll be speaking there. Camilla will be speaking. Barry Fitzgerald, Nick Kyle, Sarah Kyle, Ian Linford, and Steve Mirror, who I know that Dan knows. It should be a great day. It's a one-day event, and I think there will be a few stalls where you'll be able to obtain books and other items. I'm not sure how much people will be bringing along, but I know I'm going to bring some books. So yeah, absolutely. There's not a lot of conferences here in UK this year, and I support them all, to be honest with you, but this one even more because I'm involved in it. So yeah, looking forward to that one, Les.
You know what? Wait, you know what, you guys? Send me, is there a press release on that or just that graphic?
There will be. I'll speak to Steve Mirror and I'll tell him to be in touch with you. I'll give him the links tomorrow.
I'll put that on Wow Signal for next week.
Thank you very much, sir. That's really kind. And here's the books, the Truth Proof books, which are all available in paperback from truthproof.uk.
You need to get a testimonial quote, Paul, from Whitley Strieber. If you don't have
Whitley's quoted on every book. He's given me that on every book.
There you go.
Seriously, and especially the night people. Wow. And so they're all available, truthproof.uk, as is the DVD Wolflands, which I recommend Dan watches because it's a great film. and you can also get Wolflands on Amazon Prime via download. And I'm always keen to say, but this film, this documentary that took myself and Les 3 years to make, stayed in the Amazon top 10 for about 6 weeks, and this film, and I'm amazed. Les is the cameraman. He's sort of taught me all I know about camera work. But between us, we've created something that sat with all the high-end budget documentaries for 6 weeks, and
that's so cool.
That's Wolflands. You can also buy Wolflands via eBay or the truthproof.uk website, and if it's overseas sales, please visit the eBay link on the website. I think that's covered it, Les.
And by the way, Dan, Whitley Strieber did a testimonial on that one as well.
I could see that, yeah.
He did,
with Ken Gerhard, and who else was he on there?
Ken Gerhard.
The late Howard Hughes.
Howard Hughes, we all miss Howard. Absolutely wonderful man. So thanks, Les, because I never normally get that in, or we don't. We do. We're going to start doing it more. We've got to push our work a little bit, Dan. As a Hollywood publicist, you know all about pushing work, and we're not good at it. So we need to.
That's why I made a living at it.
Right.
You know, you guys should come to Contact in the Desert. One of you.
I've been invited to it.
Yeah.
I was invited to speak at it.
If you ever come, please let me know. We'll hang out, you know.
Oh,
That'd be brilliant.
definitely, yeah.
Listen, by the way, Ron Janis loves you guys. He told me after he was on with you, he called me, he goes, Dan, I love those. I swear to God, he goes, I love those guys.
Well, they're very
Really,
kind. I mean, he exposed the word that I couldn't say the word. What was it? What did what was it? The word I really struggled saying.
Telepathy.
Telepathy. I do like I've got some.
Think of like telephone.
I've got some.
Okay, I'm just going to put this on the screen because we've only got a few seconds to go. Hello, Paul and Les. Just a quick note to say thank you for all the time you put into this subject. You all work tirelessly to bring us an awesome channel. We really enjoy listening in my house, and that's from somebody near my
somebody with a dog. Somebody with
a dog, and thank you very much. And the biggest thank you goes to Dan because he only planned on spending an hour with us tonight.
Okay.
So Dan,
anytime.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you can untie yourself now, Dan.
I could go. My dog probably has to make pee-pee, so I can go walk.
Right.
I can go walk. Thank you, guys. You guys are great. I so enjoyed talking to you. Really, greatly.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Okay,
and thank you, Les, and everybody.
And just to tell, thank everybody for coming onto the stream and to our two moderators tonight. And thanks for the super chat donations as usual. Always welcome. And we'll see you all on Sunday night.
And Lee and Alison for moderating. Thank you.